Over the past few weeks, a new conversation has been quietly spreading across social media, podcasts, and comment sections. And it's making a lot of people uncomfortable. It started when 50 Cent and Elon Musk both made comments that, on the surface, seemed unrelated. But when people started connecting the dots, a much larger theory began to take shape. The core idea is simple, but unsettling. Sean Combs may not be the final piece of the puzzle. He may be the distraction. According to this line of thinking, focusing only on Diddy keeps attention away from a broader network of influence that stretches far beyond music. And this time, the conversation isn't being driven by rumors alone. Supporters of the theory argue that Elon Musk's ownership of X places him in a unique position, one where years of private messages, deleted exchanges, and behind-the-scenes conversations still exist, untouched. That's where the narrative shifts. People online have started visualizing this situation as a pyramid.
Was like an Epstein-type compromise deal where he had, whether he was doing it himself, conceivably, people want to think that he's attached to some intelligence agency or something like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help, I don't know. Whether or not he shared some of that information with people so they knew they had compromising stuff on people, I don't know. But clearly he was doing it for his own jollies too. There was something sick about it.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is that people in the music and entertainment industry had to know that Diddy was like abusing, kids basically. And yet they still fed him kids. And like, where's the accountability?
There had to be rumors. There had to be. They
had to know.
Yeah.
They had to know.
Cat Williams was talking about it on
exactly.
Yeah, on that podcast.
But like who's feeding him the kids,
Right. Yeah. And what videos do they have of these people where they're willing to defend him and they're willing to keep quiet about all this? Like how many people were compromised?
Yeah.
The whole thing is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
It's just crazy when because the nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood. And you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all.
At the base, they place high-profile entertainment power couples like Jay-Z and Beyonce, faces the public knows well. Above them, they point to longtime industry gatekeepers, including Oprah Winfrey and Clive Davis. And at the very top, according to speculation, are individuals who rarely speak publicly at all. The argument isn't just about fame or wealth. It's about control, image, and silence. This theory gained momentum after 50 Cent released his documentary, The Reckoning. Instead of presenting a traditional biography, the project framed the situation as a cultural moment. His message was clear. When influential people stay quiet for too long, silence starts to look like participation. That framing changed the tone of the discussion. From there, commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal began revisiting old claims about behind-the-scenes behavior at private gatherings. They described an environment where documentation wasn't accidental but intentional, not for entertainment, but for leverage. None of these claims have been proven, but the reason they keep resurfacing is perception. People believe that information once collected creates power, and if that information is shared selectively, it can shape careers, reputations, and decisions without ever becoming public. This is where Elon Musk enters the conversation in a more direct way. During a long-form discussion on the Joe Rogan Experience, Musk talked about the contrast between what public figures say now and what they said.
Sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly. This is insane that people keep refusing. I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through. That changes now, Sean. You have no choice. That Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter. They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert.
Didn't say years ago. He didn't accuse anyone directly. Instead, he framed it as a credibility problem. At one point, he referenced Jennifer Lopez, not politically, but ethically. The implication was simple. If you were present during questionable eras and never raised concerns, what does that silence mean in hindsight? That question spread fast. Online, people argued back and forth. Some said it was unfair to expect public warnings without proof. Others felt that proximity alone creates responsibility. Either way, the discussion shifted from accusations to accountability, and from individuals to systems.
Think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened, and yet they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know.
That's when attention moved to what many now call level 1. At this level, critics focus on Jay-Z and Beyoncé, not because of any single allegation, but because of their long-standing influence. Jaguar Wright reignited debate during an interview with Piers Morgan, where she claimed certain industry connections had been protected for decades. Shortly after, viewers noticed the interview became difficult to find online, which only intensified suspicion. She also questioned why Jay-Z has appeared on major networks like CBS without being challenged on long-running industry rumors. Her language was harsh. Her claims remain unproven. But the reaction was immediate. Another topic that refuses to fade is the long-circulating Aaliyah theory. Jaguar went further than most, suggesting personal motives and industry benefits tied to decisions made at the time. Again, there is no verified evidence supporting these claims, but Jay-Z's continued silence has kept speculation alive. Online, silence rarely reads as neutral. Then came another detail that made people pause. As legal pressure around Diddy increased, reports surfaced that Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's personal lawyer, appeared within the broader legal orbit of the situation. That detail alone sparked questions.
Tony Busby, Spiro is a partner, and Alex Spiro is Jay-Z's personal lawyer.
Oh, so it's probably Jay-Z then that's doing the suing.
Of course they'd use Kevin's name,
Why
but
is
it
it-
ain't Kevin. Why is Alex Spiro popping up everywhere?
What do you think is going on in Hollywood right now? What are you hearing? Because I'm hearing
Mass panic. Mass
Everyone-
panic.
So because no one's talking publicly.
No, it
But
can't.
behind-
That's why they came up with the story. Well, you know, there's a party inside the Diddy party, and I went to the first party, but I left early. I never made it to Diddy After Dark. There were public relations teams right after Diddy got arrested running around telling everyone to say that.
of course.
The question is this. If all you went to was the first party and you didn't know anything about the After Dark, why would you say, I left early? Why wouldn't you just say you left when the party ended?
Exactly.
Because how would you know
That
there
the-
was another party
Exactly.
if you weren't informed?
Exactly.
If you went to the Diddy party and nothing happened and it was the first party, your speech wouldn't be, oh, well, I only went to the first party. I
Right.
didn't go to the after party. You wouldn't say that because you wouldn't have known about
Exactly.
it. You would say, I don't know what anybody's talking about. I went to Diddy's party. It was a white party. It was dancing. It was wild. But at the end, we all went home.
Right.
That's not what y'all are saying.
Nope.
You're saying, I didn't go to the second party. I only went to the first. The only thing you're proving is that you're hiding being there
Yeah.
because you wouldn't
Why
have.
would Jay-Z's attorney be nearby unless there was concern about collateral exposure? Supporters of the theory argue the goal is narrative control when staying ahead of potential fallout if more names are mentioned. Because if one person starts speaking, the entire structure could be affected. And once people start revisiting the past, they revisit everything. That includes Big L. Early in Jay-Z's career, Big L was instrumental in opening doors and making connections. Negotiations were reportedly underway for deeper collaborations. Then, shortly after, Big L passed away in an unsolved incident. There is no proof linking these events, but when timelines line up, speculation fills the gap. Critics argue that one unexplained moment can be coincidence. Multiple unexplained moments start to feel different. And that's how the conversation climbs to level 2, where influence extends beyond music into media, publishing, and cultural authority. Names like Oprah Winfrey and Clive Davis re-enter the discussion, not as accusations, but as symbols of how proximity to power can shield people from scrutiny. With Oprah, Critics often point to her public closeness with Harvey Weinstein during years when rumors were already circulating. That proximity fuels debate even today. And that's where this story pauses, not at conclusions, but at questions. Because once people start examining who stayed quiet, they also start asking why.
That they gave me a raw deal because this industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it, and I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster. When I quit the show, all my friends would say, well, up them days, why don't you just do Chappelle's show at another network? Yeah. And why doesn't a slave run from one plantation to another plantation? Because the master over there might be nicer. My God, man, I was trapped. You know what? Tell you the truth. I've even thought about coming back and doing another Chappelle show.
This is where the conversation shifts from individual actions to systems of influence. One of the most debated figures in this discussion is Oprah Winfrey. Critics often point out that someone with her level of reach and credibility could have forced difficult conversations much earlier. Not through accusations, but by asking questions publicly. Instead, she chose distance and silence. And in this space, silence doesn't read as neutral. Over the years, that quiet approach has been interpreted by some as protection, not endorsement, but insulation. The idea is simple. When you're powerful enough, you don't need viral moments or public statements. One phone call can influence bookings, reputations, and opportunities without leaving fingerprints. That perception intensified after the controversy surrounding the school Oprah funded in South Africa. When concerns surfaced early on, there was immediate public fallout. Employees were dismissed and statements were issued. Officially, the situation was addressed, but critics argue the full picture never felt complete, which is why that story keeps resurfacing in conversations about oversight, accountability, and what powerful people may choose not to see. Add resurfaced photos, old interviews, and long-running rumors, and Oprah's role gets framed by some commentators as quiet power, influence that operates behind closed doors rather than through public confrontation. Then there's Clive Davis. Clive isn't treated like background noise for one reason: his resume. Decades at the top of the music industry. Careers launched, careers reshaped, entire eras influenced. That legacy is exactly why people pay attention when his name comes up. For years, Suge Knight has claimed that Clive's relationship with Sean Combs went far beyond mentorship. According to Suge, Clive once described it as something deeper than business. There has been no public proof of that claim, but it continues to circulate because it fits into a broader narrative, that Diddy didn't rise alone, and that powerful gatekeepers helped shape his path. When reporters have attempted to press Clive on questions related to Diddy, people point to moments where he appeared uncomfortable or declined to answer directly. Again, that's not evidence. But in the age of short clips and replay culture, hesitation becomes its own storyline. The same pattern shows up in discussions around Whitney Houston. Her final years remain a subject of intense public debate. Fans continue to question the dynamics around her inner circle, the pressures she faced, and whether the public narrative fully explains what happened. Family comments over time have added fuel to those questions, and critics often ask the same blunt thing: how can someone remain surrounded by heavy rumors for decades and never face lasting consequences? That's where the fall guy theory enters the conversation. Some believe Diddy is absorbing public attention while deeper power structures remain untouched, operating above headlines, beyond trending cycles, and protected by proximity rather than innocence. And then the conversation reaches what many call the top of the pyramid. The name that surprises people the most is T.D. Jakes, a religious leader, a moral authority, a figure associated with guidance and spiritual grounding.
Memory working with Diddy.
You know, personally, I've got to tell you, he really is a major star in this film tonight. He's his spokesman all the way through. I met him before I ever knew of him. I met him when he was 21 years old. And when we met, you know, he played me Craig Mack Flavor in Your Ear. He played me 3 cuts from the forthcoming Notorious B.I.G. album. And we talked for hours and hours about music, and I poured into his dream. And I financed Bad Boy Records. And we had an incredible run, incredible...
Yet 50 Cent has repeatedly referenced Jakes in online posts over the past several months, keeping his name in the broader discussion. That persistence alone made people curious. The theory being discussed is not about faith, it's about legitimacy. Some commentators believe that proximity to respected spiritual figures can act as reputation cover. Standing next to someone trusted can soften public perception, whether intentionally or not. In that framing, certain relationships aren't about belief, but about optics. Viewers also noticed how TD Jakes appeared during moments of the documentary rollout. In one segment, following an account describing emotional and physical exhaustion after being around intense environments, a clip of Jakes discussing love, healing, and energy appears almost immediately after. Many believe that placement wasn't accidental. They interpret it as symbolic, a visual contrast meant to spark thought rather than make claims.
TD Jakes.
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he'd have to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he'd have to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he needs to see it for himself, man. Maybe he needs to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they go.
Whether that interpretation is accurate or not, it became a talking point across social platforms. Then Cat Williams was pulled back into the conversation. He had previously said that 2024 would be a year where everything comes to light, regardless of status. At the time, many dismissed it as exaggeration. Now, people online treat it like a forecast, replaying clips and comparing them to current events. When TD Jakes was later asked directly about his name being associated with Diddy, his response added fuel to the debate. Instead of a clear, direct denial, he told people to keep it moving. He also spoke broadly about repentance, forgiveness, and not needing to address every rumor publicly. For many viewers, that response didn't land as reassurance. It didn't sound like clarity. It sounded like deflection. That reaction is what made the conversation explode. Jaguar Wright intensified things further, claiming that proximity to Diddy's social circle would only make sense for two reasons: access or influence. She described those environments as leverage zones, spaces where information is currency. She alleged that recordings exist, that audio and video are circulating privately. No proof has been shown publicly. These remain claims, not confirmed facts. But once people believe receipts might exist, the fear shifts from rumor to exposure. Jaguar also claimed that multiple men have shared accounts linking Jakes to that world. Again, no verification, no documents released. Just alleged testimony and reports of legal activity happening quietly behind the scenes. The story continues spreading because to many observers it follows the same pattern they've been pointing out all along. Power protects power until it can't. Former Bad Boy security associate Gene Deal added his perspective, questioning why a religious leader would even be present in environments described as anything but disciplined. In his view, proximity itself requires explanation. He suggested that presence implies endorsement, tolerance, or involvement, even if indirect. And he hinted that if recordings ever surfaced, the conversation would immediately shift from speculation to accountability. And that's the real pressure hanging over everything right now. Not opinions, not debates, but the possibility of verification. When conversations shift from speculation to documentation, the entire dynamic changes. That's when silence stops being strategic and starts feeling risky. Now widen the lens, because this discussion doesn't end with one artist or even one industry. When Elon Musk sat down with Joe Rogan, the conversation wasn't really about celebrity headlines. It was about networks of influence, how high-level names move, why certain reactions look restrained, and what happens when pressure builds behind closed doors. Musk's framing wasn't political or ideological. It was about fear of exposure, and fear of what happens if the wrong doors open. When Rogan mentioned Reid Hoffman and asked whether he seemed uncomfortable in certain moments, Musk's response was simple and telling. He agreed, and then compared the structure to a compromise-based control model. The idea is straightforward. Once someone is placed in a vulnerable position, persuasion becomes unnecessary. Control replaces debate. From that angle, a lot of long-standing questions begin to make sense. Why certain figures never speak, why some stories disappear quickly, and why specific names remain insulated regardless of public noise. That perspective echoes what Dave Chappelle has described in his own way. He's spoken about the entertainment business as a trap, not just contracts or money, but control over image and autonomy. When asked why he didn't simply take his show elsewhere, he explained that leaving one system for another can still feel like trading one form of limitation for another. If someone at that level felt boxed in, it raises a larger question about everyone else navigating the same environment with fewer options. Which brings the focus back to today. This story doesn't feel finished. As more people speak, more context surfaces. As old clips reappear and timelines are revisited, public curiosity grows. And when curiosity grows, pressure follows. Figures once considered untouchable start looking human. Stories once dismissed start being re-examined. So here's the question that matters most right now. Do you think TD Jakes is truly the top of this structure? Or just another layer beneath something even bigger? And if there is another layer, who benefits most from remaining unseen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if this breakdown kept you locked and subscribe for more YouTube-safe deep dives as this story continues.